Hey, welcome back. When you think of motorcycles, you think of motorcycle gangs. Think of these guys, big, burly guys, leather. Well, get it out of your head. Because today we're going to talk about a different kind of motorcycle gang. Actually, a wonderful kind of motorcycle gang. More of a motorcycle club. Guys on their motorcycles who give back. My name is Vin Dacquino. Our guests today are Bobby Ferguson and Cliff. Welcome back. Welcome here.
Hello, Vinny.
A pleasure to have you.
Thank you to have us here.
What exactly do you do? Who are the New York Riders?
Well, I like to refer that to Cliff because
Okay.
Cliff and his wife Judy started it back in 2014. So Cliff will give
wow.
you a little scenario.
Cliff Fitzgerald, speak to us.
All right. Well, it's something my wife and I felt very strong about, helping out our vets, because our vets done a lot for us. So we feel it's time we should give something back to the
So
vets.
the New York Riders are a motorcycle club that give back to vets.
Yes.
How do you give back to vets as motorcyclists?
We do flag lines at different events.
A flag line. What is the flag line?
Flag line is a group of our men and women. If somebody passes away, we will go to their funeral and we will put an American flag down the walkway.
We talked about this. This is an amazing thing to me. Imagine some of these vets who have no families. After all their service, their wake is attended by no one. Their funeral is attended by no one. Not anymore. What these guys do is they gather their men together and they go to the wake and the funeral.
That's it.
They do motorcades. They give the support to that vet for the support he's given us.
Right.
I love it. And that's called a flag line.
Flag line.
Is that because you all have flags?
Yes, each man in the line or a woman would have a flag and be standing there. We also do flags on our motorcycles when we do escorts. We will escort a funeral. We also escorted a piece of steel from 9/11 up 684 to the Brewster Firehouse last year. Veterans, we glad to help out. Police and fire, we also help out.
Now, you said something that rang a bell in my head. You said men and women?
Yes.
So the club is not just men?
No.
No.
Wow.
No,
Do
we-
women ride
Yes.
bikes?
Yes, some of them
Really?
do. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And every time we turn around, there's a new woman buying a bike and riding with us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We're getting larger.
Is it any, no, you don't have to have a particular kind of bike.
Nope.
And I think you said to me before, you don't even have to have a bike, period.
Exactly.
You could have a car, so your car could be part of this motorcade.
Right.
Yeah, see, we felt there was a need at the time for veterans to be respected, especially
Yeah.
in their
In this world and the next.
Right. And we also we also added to that the first responders. And a few of the flag lines which we have done, we also escorted bodies of veterans who were returned maybe 50, 60 years after World War II. And we had a flag line at the funeral home, and then we also went to the gravesite where there was no family, and we were there for this veteran at his final.
Wow. So you're there at the site.
Yeah.
Now, you also mentioned something that I really love. The fact that some of these graves are bare, lonely graves.
Right.
But you guys raise funds, buy Christmas wreaths, and put the wreaths on the graves of these.
That's correct. We We have jugs around in different restaurant establishments in Putnam County.
Jugs?
Donation
Oh,
jugs.
donation jug. Okay.
And we're always looking for donations because what we do is last year we put up 700 wreaths,
700?
right, on
Wow.
on grave sites of veterans during the holiday season.
Wow.
And the grave site can be from the Revolutionary War
Yeah.
right up to Afghanistan and Iraq.
I have to tell you a story. When I was writing Sybil Ludington, The Call to Arms, I went to go look for her grave, and I couldn't find it. They said, she's in Patterson, buried behind the church. Duh, there's about 400 graves behind the church.
right.
So I got there, and I realized, oh my God, I have to read every one of these graves to find her.
Right.
So I went next door to the delicatessen,
Yep.
and there was a kid in there slicing meat. And I said, excuse me, I'm looking for Sybil Ludington's grave. He turned around, he said, she died? I said, yeah, in 1839. He said, oh, no wonder I didn't hear about it. I said, all right, you know what? I'll find it. And after I walked away, it occurred to me that her father was a vet. And not only was he a vet, but he was a hero.
Yep.
And heroes have flags.
Yeah.
So I reduced the number of graves I had to look for by simply looking for the flags.
Right.
So the flags do make them stand out.
Stand out.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're heroes even in death.
Right.
Yep.
And it's important
Right.
to signify the sacrifice that some of them made. I mean, some of them didn't make the ultimate sacrifice, but people like Colonel Ludington spent a lot of time helping this country back in the day.
Right.
So veterans can be 200 years ago or 2 months ago.
Correct.
Right.
Well, what happened was last week we had a flag line along with the Brewster Fire Department and the other
Wow.
other fire departments in Putnam County, because Brewster Station North, they had a piece of the steel from the World Trade Centers, and they had a monument made up. So we were there for the ceremony, and then after the ceremony, we went to the Milltown Cemetery, and Cliff's son, Jake, who's 18 years old, and he's a young welder.
Grandson.
Grandson, I'm
Grandson.
sorry. He,
Say, boy, you have a pretty young son there.
Yeah.
Many of the flag holders in the cemetery were either missing or they were taken or whatever. So Jake made up 75 flag holders. So last Sunday, we placed 75 flag holders on the graves.
He had to weld these things?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was under the supervision of his grandfather
Yeah,
also.
there you go.
And this winter, Jake will make more, and we anticipate hitting most of the graves in Putnam of veterans who are missing their flag holders, so that come Memorial Day or whatever, when we place flags on the graves, every grave site will have a flag holder and a flag.
Wow.
So
That's and it doesn't matter which. I mean, there's a whole lot of cemeteries around.
there's a whole lot of
Right.
cemeteries.
Who does all this
We-
research?
we actually-
I know there's a cemetery committee
Yeah.
as part of the county.
Well, there's a Marine, your buddy. That
Jack.
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 You can make what's his
Duncan.
Jack Duncan. He is very astute about all these grave sites.
Wow.
And
That's a tough job.
he's also a
Yeah.
Vietnam veteran, disabled Vietnam veteran, and
Listen, I have to tell you something. I have had at least 5 veterans groups on these shows.
yep,
And I'm proud to be a citizen of Putnam County
Right.
because they don't forget their vets.
right,
And they stand by them. And it's nice to see all the different things that they do. I mean, we had a group in here that put boxes together that they sent out to the troops. I know when my son was a Marine, and we would send cookies and things, and how proud he was to get it and share it.
Yep.
You know, and he shared it with a lot of the people in the group. And he said, "Dad, you have no idea how many guys don't even receive a letter."
right.
Oh, we also send packages
Oh, that's
every
great.
month, just about, to One Air Force group, one Army group, and
Special Forces was the other one.
Pardon me?
Special Forces.
Special Forces.
Special services, wow.
We send out each month. We've been sending stuff to
And,
packages.
Yeah, and one of the Army personnel that we send to,
Yeah.
she's from Putnam County. And
Really?
during her tour over there in Afghanistan, we would send both she and her group care packages. And as of 3 days ago, she has left Afghanistan and she's on her way back to the United States. And last we heard, she was in Rhode Island. They were dropping off troops there, and she was heading out to Colorado. And she anticipates being back here for Thanksgiving. And our group is going to meet up with her.
Wonderful. Oh, that's
is that
nice.
before-
Right.
day after Thanksgiving, and
Right.
we're
We're
going
gonna
to
do-
have a little celebration
We'll be
for
doing
her.
a
That's
flag
excellent.
line
Yeah.
for her when she comes.
That brings to mind yet another function that you guys do.
Yeah.
You raise food too, don't you?
Correct. We're always, like I say, we're looking for donations to buy food, and then when we get the money, we buy the food, and we try to give it out to needy veterans or first
Yeah.
responders, and we also give the food out to needy families. So we kind of like, we're spreading out
Yeah.
because we
Right.
believe that if you're going to be a good citizen, you got to help everyone.
Everyone.
And
that's right.
this Thanksgiving, we will be handing out 25 turkeys to
Wow.
25 different families.
Wow.
So
You'd be surprised how many people today can't afford turkeys.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
You know, when you say, "Oh, turkeys aren't that expensive," yeah, for you, but not necessarily them.
I had a man last year. He lives in a shed. No heat, little tiny stove in there. He cuts a little bit of wood. I took him up a sleeping blanket, and I took him up a couple boxes of food. You would have thought I handed him $1 million.
You did.
You know, it was
did.
terrific.
Yeah. There's sometimes the smallest things. It's so easy for us to take for granted.
right.
And we have to remember that these are people who have given to us.
Sure.
It's time to
give
give
back.
back.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep.
So you do motorcades for soldiers who pass. You accompany their graves.
Right.
You serve basically as their families.
Correct.
You also put flags and flag holders
Right.
on the graves. Holiday time, you put wreaths.
Right.
You gather food. Thanksgiving, you give them something to be thankful for.
Right.
I think you also, don't you do some kind of a dinner or,
Yes.
Well,
Well, we do at the Veterans House here in Putnam. There is generally about 12 veterans in there, and we generally do a Christmas dinner for them. We also do Thanksgiving.
tell me what a veteran's house is.
It's a house over here in Putnam where, like I say, they have 7.
Yeah, a
Room.
place where these veterans could
They
live.
stay. They stay right
Wow.
there. Some of them are temporary. Some stay there all the time.
Yep.
They're a great group of fellas. There's some older gentlemen in there, and there's some younger gentlemen.
Yeah.
If they need help, they put them up over there, and they're a pretty good outfit.
Again, you know, I'm so happy to see. I know we had John Borges on the show. He has a program that's vet to vet.
right.
God, it's so on the money because it gives these vets a chance to talk with someone who's willing to listen.
Yes.
Right.
And they have stories and they have baggage that they're carrying. These guys are coming back with stories that are painful. And they need to share those stories and they need to unload some of this garbage that they've carried inside them. And they have to free themselves of this. And just to have someone to talk to about it.
Last week, I went to one of John's meetings. Was the first meeting I went to, and when I got finished, I got called out. A friend of mine needed some help with something, so I had to leave early. But I told John I will be back for more meetings.
Yeah,
It's a great.
and that's a good thing. Those meetings are so important because it's people supporting people.
Yep.
I mean, you have to. Unless you've been there, you don't realize how many things you carry with you for years and years and years. And I know my father-in-law was in the service for years, and he had so many stories he wanted to tell, and he had no one to tell them to.
Yeah.
And it's good to have people who care.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to believe nobody cares.
Yeah.
Right.
And these guys get depressed. It's a sad subject, but I have to say it. Suicides are happening all the time.
Yep.
And we're
22 a
losing
day
these
on
people.
average.
Well, when you talk about the suicide, they like to use 22 veterans that are dying a day, but actually the numbers are a lot higher because the numbers they are giving out there are not from all the states. And what people don't realize is that the veterans that are committing suicides, the highest percentage are still Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
So I myself, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I can say that after 45 or 50 years, we see how the people of America are now starting to treat the returning troops, or how they're treating the veterans. And back in my era, we had none of these support groups. We weren't really welcomed because the war was very unpopular. So
I know.
And to see
It was my era.
Yes, so to see what people are doing today for the vets, I feel very proud to be part of that, and I'm very proud to be part of, this organization with Cliff and Judy, because I think they're doing a great thing.
Yeah. Oh, without question.
Yeah.
My best friend went to Vietnam.
Yep.
Didn't come back the same.
Right,
My cousin went to Vietnam. Didn't come back.
right,
So it was a tough era, and I was in college at the time.
right,
A lot of the people that I hung around with were against the Vietnam War,
right.
vehemently against it, and a lot of my friends were in it.
Right.
So, I was kind of like in the middle.
Betwixt and between.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was tough because I could understand both sides of it.
Right,
And I also understand all these years later how much baggage they carried for all those years.
Right.
They didn't forget some of the things that they did there.
No, a lot of them,
And
they
they
locked
didn't
it.
forgive themselves.
They locked it up inside of them.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that a lot of, because of what's happening now with like peer-to-peer and everything else, I think a lot of the veterans are starting to open. The Vietnam veterans are starting to open up, and I think it's great because
It is great.
I still see a lot of these veterans that we go to them and we help them out,
Yep.
and they're guys my age, if not older.
Yep.
And,
Yep. And
so
it's good to see you changing
right,
the stereotype image of
Rambo.
motorcycle riders. You think New York Riders, you think Hell's Angels, you think some of these motorcycle groups, some of these movies have given us stereotypes of what motorcycle riders are. This is a whole new light. It's a whole new purpose, and it's a good thing.
Yeah,
And it's good to see people reaching out.
right.
So you're in the middle of this now. You're getting close to the Christmas wreath time.
Yep.
So donations, how do they do these donations? Where do they find you?
Two ways right now. We have little tiny wreaths we have had made up, and it's called Sponsor a Wreath, and we're selling. It's $15 a wreath,
Okay.
and
the money goes to
goes to buying these wreaths.
Right. Okay.
And that's
So
how
it's a
we're raising.
non-profit. Nobody's making
No
money on
profit.
this.
We're a
It goes to the
501,
cause.
501c3.
You are
Right.
501c3.
Everybody's volunteers. What works with us and everything. Everybody's just plain volunteer.
Yep.
But also, like Bob was saying, we put jugs out in a lot of the restaurants, different taverns, different gas stations have let us put them in, and we put the jug out there, and we
Because sometimes people forget
Yeah.
flags and
Yeah.
and these holders this is brass, right?
Right.
So
They were brass.
Well, they were brass.
Oh.
These are steel now.
steel, they're steel. But did you say that some of the steel is from the 9/11?
No, that steel, what we were talking about, that went to the Brewster Firehouse.
Oh, okay.
The Brewster Firehouse just got the last piece of steel from the World Trade Center that they're going to distribute.
And I'm going to say something here. I may be out of line, but I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. The reason that some of the flag holders are steel is because when you made them out of brass,
They were brass, and they stole them because
and people stole them
brass-
out of the cemetery
Yeah.
Right. They would take
Sad.
them to the junkyard,
and
$1.50,
turn them in
$2 a
for
pound.
money. Sad,
Well,
sad.
yeah.
But-
But also, on that note.
But that didn't make you give up.
But on that note, the junkyard should not be giving them any cash for something that says veteran.
All
on it.
right.
So,
I mean, that's,
there it
that's,
is.
that's
So,
a point to
Right.
make.
Yeah.
And also, people should keep an eye out.
yeah.
If they're in the cemetery and they see these things, if they see anyone ever doing anything like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
see something, say something,
Yep.
because this is hurting everybody.
Yes.
The other thing too was up in the Veterans Park, Gypsy Trail Road in Putnam.
Yep.
We have
what
we,
a great
we have a
place.
veterans
Yep.
park up there. Well, what happened was one Memorial Day, a lot of the stuff had graffiti on it. So, along with Putnam County and the veteran agency there,
Yep.
Carl Rohde and Art Hanley,
Yep.
we started a fire watch. And a fire watch, we do it down in Montrose also, down at the VA hospital. The idea behind the fire watch is you have a bonfire, and that was a signal back in the Revolutionary War when the troops were coming back that they would find their way home. So what we do on Memorial Day is, throughout the whole weekend, I should say, we watch that park 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And also, when it comes to getting rid of the old flags, we spend the whole weekend
that at the
burning
bottom. Yep,
the flags,
I saw it.
and we're there. I shouldn't say we usually we get the midnight to
Midnight
8.
shift.
Yeah, there
But,
you go.
but Cliff has
3 years
Cliff
in a
has
row
a
we got
camper,
this.
so
Oh,
it
God.
makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But we also involve ourselves with
Yeah.
the proper,
That's a great park, and there's a lot of people who aren't aware that this Veterans Park has a museum.
yeah.
Yep.
And that
Does.
museum is kept up well. I bring about 200 fourth graders
Yeah.
in buses there to go into the museum and look at some of the artifacts that are there. You definitely need to go there.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's also a monument there to the Gold Star mothers.
Gold Star Mother,
a helicopter, a tank.
right?
Yeah.
We have there's a Cobra helicopter. We have a tank. One side says Army, the
Yeah.
other side says Marine. We also have the Purple Heart monument there, which
Yep.
we also
And the babies.
Yep.
Isn't there a monument to the young children, or to there's a monument there for young children?
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, there's one of my students pointed it out and said, "Mr. D, look at this," and it's a monument to babies who've died. It's a wonderful place to go to remember those people who were given to us.
But like Bob was just saying, though, at the park this year here for the first year, there is a Purple Heart Day. And my wife called a few people to find out if they were doing anything for Purple Heart Day up at the park.
Right.
And she was, excuse me, she was told no. And so we got permission to
do
go up there,
something. That's
Purple
great.
Heart Day. That we
And-
got wreaths and we took them up there. We had a little ceremony. We had
And to
about
remind people, Purple
Right.
Heart means they've been injured
right.
in their service to the
Right.
country.
Well, it means something to me. My dad was in the service for 19 years.
Wow.
And he had the Purple Heart and a few other medals. And
Wow.
when I found out they weren't doing nothing, I just felt bad. I said, we got to get a group
Yeah.
of people
So
together.
is there a date? Or at least a month?
Well, what people can do is they can go onto our website, New York Riders Group.
Do we have a website for the vets? There's the New York Riders, so that's the website you're talking about?
And Facebook.
Right.
So they can go
Facebook.
on
Or
there.
just go under New York
Okay,
Riders-Putnam
yep, there
County.
it is.
Yeah.
That's all.
And they can get all our events that are coming up.
Terrific.
And I just want to say our next event coming up is going to be December 10th at the Brewster Ice Arena. We're going to be working in conjunction with Peer to Peer, Joseph Dwyer, and the Marine Toys for Tots, and we'll be collecting toys. And if you bring a toy and you bring your child up there, the child will ice skate for free.
One of our directors, Gil Mail.
Yeah, we know him well.
Yeah, Gil is so involved with
Yeah.
vets, gives so much, and Toys for Tots is a big thing
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
I know my grandchildren look forward to it every year because it's a great event.
Yeah.
Well, guys, what can I say? What you're doing is a wonderful thing. Keep on doing it. These people need support. I keep thinking about what it would be like to have a wake where no one attends.
Right.
Because of you, that's not true. You make a big deal about serving the country. It is a big deal.
It is.
Right.
And they deserve the credit that you're giving them. We can't thank you enough for your volunteer time.
Right.
Time's difficult in this day and age, and it's not always easy. You gather how many? You have what? 50 members a year?
About 50 members.
Around
About 50
50.
members. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
And it's growing every week. Real quick, we met 3 ladies in a store the other night, and we were buying bowls to put on the wreaths. And they asked us, why are you buying 400?
Yeah.
So we said, well, we told them what we do.
Yeah.
So they go, can we come and volunteer and help you?
Oh wow, that's great.
I said, sure you can, as long as you're
That's
patriotic.
great. And that's men or women.
men
what
or
about?
women.
Is there an age cutoff?
No.
No.
18-year-old.
We have some
Little guys,
some
big guys?
yeah,
5-year-old.
Women.
5 years
5-year-old.
old.
Yeah.
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 Well, you heard it, and you heard it here. Veterans have given of their time, of their life, of their heart. It's our turn to give a little bit of our hearts. It's important. Organizations like this deserve a lot of thank yous.
Well, Vinny, I want to thank you for having us
I
on.
want to thank you.
And
Yes, we want to thank you very much.
Keep on doing what you're doing. You're looking for a good organization to be part of, something to join. Here it is.
the
New York Riders of Putnam County.
That's it. We're
Thank you for
proud of
joining
it.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.